Logan McNaney, tons and tons of experience.
Officials Peter Buchanan, Doug Donovan, Tyler Harriman. We're underway. This is the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament Championship game, and Jack McDonald comes up a running for the Terps. Headed towards the cage, this long stick midfielder had it checked out of his cross. It's a turnover back to Ohio State.
Pole on the wing for the Maryland faceoff. Brown hunted him down, causes the turnover. He will hound you all over this field.
First offensive touch of the game belongs to the Buckeyes in white. On the move, Matthews fires and scores! Gannon Matthews, 42 seconds in.
They say defense wins championships. Both of these squads amongst the best, not only in the conference, but in the country. Look at McDonald. He knew he just had his lunch money taken by Cullen Brown. And Gannon Matthews, look at that lefty dodge, and he gets tattooed.
Matthews, who posted 3 against Rutgers in the semifinal win, gets the Buckeyes on the board as they scrap for the next draw. Jack Oldman out there for Ohio State. A.J. Larkin off the wing, keeping the ball on the ground. And it belongs to the Buckeyes and Johnny Cool, one of the short stick defensive midfielders for the Buckeyes. Another there, the captain, Greg Langermeyer. Urksa on a speed dodge, gets to the interior, fires, and Fayok makes his first save on the night.
That's tasty. Takes up a lot of that goal. I love the little fake.
Jackson Canfield. Roll it back up top. McGee ready to go. Spins and fires to score! Dylan McGee.
Oh, high-o to start this game. And maybe this is the recipe for Ohio State. Early offense. 43, Dylan McGee. This is a team that gets it done by committee. Watch him put his foot in the dirt, spin around, and fire to the far post. Beautiful rollback.
It's McGee and Matthews to strike swiftly for the Buckeyes. 2 better than second-seeded Maryland. Shea Keithler on the draw against Jack Oldman. It squirts loose. Oldman flicks that one towards the sideline. We get the whistle and stoppage here. Possession belongs to the Buckeyes. Nick Myers said, Maryland kicked our butts in the first meeting. We have to withstand the first 7 minutes. So far, so very good.
Yeah, and what a great coaching job by Nick Myers. Big Ten Coach of the Year, and I think a candidate for National Coach of the Year. This is a ball club that dropped their season opener to Utah, only to turn around, go an 11-game win streak, and win a regular season championship.
Interior, Haas makes it 3 in a row. And the Buckeyes look every bit the top seed.
This Maryland defense is befuddled. They're not sure what hit them. John Tillman's going to burn an early timeout. Great run to cage. Haas with the front swing. He normally resides behind the goal as that X-Man, the quarterback. He front swings, catches it, slips it past McNaney. The Buckeyes are rolling. And that really was the best thing that could have ever happened to them.
I'll say they ripped off 11 straight wins and then had that win streak ended by Maryland in Columbus. The Terps put a 13-8 beat down on the Buckeyes, who are looking for a revenge.
So when they lost to Utah, I was like, that's crazy. And they've just really turned it on, and they're having a special season.
Liam White getting better and better with each game, this freshman. Spins into the alley. Here comes the early help as they'll keep it hot. Shot clock 40 seconds. A wraparound chance. They keep scoring in droves. It's Haas with his second.
We're not even 5 minutes into this game, and it's 4-0 Ohio State. I'm not sure anyone had that on their bingo card. Haas is a different element to this Ohio State attack. Fast, quick, athletic, and agile, and he just runs by Jack McDonald. That's not terrible defense, but the whip around shot.
In the semifinals against Penn State, Maryland surrendered just a couple of tallies in that 30 minutes. Little different story, as you can tell so far tonight in the first 5. Maryland looking for possession, a chance to stop the bleeding here, and they do come up with it. That's Jonah Carrier, the one of the two face-off men we expect to see quite often. Shot clock's at 17. Spanos picked up by Van Buren. Switch the point of attack out wide. Keegan on a throwback for Urksa. Shot clock's at 8. To the interior, spinning and firing. It is Fayak with a stop on Whittier.
That was a great look by Ford to Whittier.
Liam White brings it to the alley. Stalked there by the short stick defensive midfielder Jordy Holmes. O'Leary gets underneath, goes to the cage, he scores! Shane O'Leary. It's 5 unanswered for the Buckeyes.
Wow. On Michigan's home field, no less. The Buckeyes are celebrating. O'Leary, I've been impressed with him all year long, and that's just poor communication between the pole and the shorty. You got to press out on that. You got to talk to each other. And instead of jumping, Gordy Holmes just waves bye-bye.
Mitchell Pelkey has more on Gannon Matthews and a wardrobe change.
We just took a look at Gannon Matthews with head athletic trainer Seth Faulkner. Had to switch jerseys because he got banged up by Will Shallard. The blood is on the jersey, so no more 24 for Gannon Matthews. He's now wearing 32, back in the game and back playing.
Just about halfway through this opening quarter, putting a bruise onto Maryland's outstanding defensive record. One of the top goals against averages in the country. Finally McNaney draws a bead on that bid from McKenna.
Good to see him get his first under the belt, maybe settle down a little bit.
Temperatures this Saturday night in Ann Arbor in the low 50s as Aiden Aiken goes to the cage and finds Urksa. Pinwheel it up top for Stovall. The inside. Bounce shot. Score! Daniel Kelly says it's in. The officials say no. Kelly says that was into the cage. The officials wash it off, and back comes Ohio State.
John Tillman has thrown the red challenge flag, and I don't think he even took time to look at the iPad. We saw on Thursday, Tasty made a save with his stick, and the ball was in his stick. Let's see. It's got, the whole ball has to be over the goal line. So this is a high bouncer.
The net ripples.
Goes underneath. That is a goal. I'm going to say that is a goal to hit that far back in the net. That, I think, comfortably crosses the goal line, and that should be a score after review.
Spanos driving in. Whittier's inverted. A deliberate approach here, 6-on-6 for the Terps. Ford off the split. Send it back behind. Find the open Kelly. That's vacuumed up by Caleb Fayak.
Tasty got his stick down. Kelly likes to reside on that wing.
Shot clock's at 20 for the Buckeyes in the white jerseys. Haas maneuvers around the screen there that was being set by McKenna. All 6'6" of them. Skipping on through. White fires. He scores! Liam White.
I mentioned Liam White, a native of Illinois, being an initiator. Here he dons the finisher. Look at Haas. Again, that athleticism, that quickness gets him out of harm's way. And 22 in white, Liam White just punishes the upper 90. Look at the placement, the velocity.
And the faithful in the stands appreciative of a 6-1 start. This team shoots better than 32% overall in the season and in the tournament. It feels like they're shooting 100 tonight. Just about can't miss.
Their confidence is sky high. And they have been playing lights out lacrosse ever since.
That graphic just showed you what a difference one game can make. How quickly Ohio State is to a half dozen compared to the initial battle between these two. McNaney locked on the post there, makes the stop, and A.J. Larkin will help on the clear.
Outstanding offense for Maryland. I love the ball movement. They're getting looks now on fire.
who has made 4 stops. That one ankle high. Caleb Fyock, spectacular numbers this season. A save percentage nearing a 62. That's 3rd best in the country. Staying with him there defensively, the short stick D-mid Eric Kohler for Maryland. Try it this way with McKenna. Tough matchup at that height. McKenna seeing over top of his defender Stamos. Slithers between 2, lost it there. Good defensive stand for Maryland. On the takeaway, it's Schaller back the other way, the Big Ten Defender of the Year. Last call of the opening quarter for Ohio State. Time ticking down to 8 seconds left. O'Leary gets away from Holmes, 2 seconds to go. As this quarter comes to an end, it is a memorable one for the top seed. Matthews, who had the hat trick in the semifinals Thursday, 9 goals in his last 8 outings overall, and earning the praise of his fellow Buckeyes and their head coach. Ohio State with possession here, Cullen Brown, so disruptive, 42 in the white in Ann Arbor, and back home in Chicago as Liam White speeds towards the goal. Holmes takes the angle on him. White turns the corner. Shot clock's at 22. Long range drive, McNaney seeing that one well out of the cross of Brian Donnery. Turner fidgets to the inside. Here comes the help on the double. Rotate, Marinier fires and scores! Alex Marinier.
The Canadian, we talked about his range, and it is off ball, off a screen, and stepping downhill. Look at the placement. And Mick Myers continues to be pumped up for his Buckeyes.
Buckeyes fans know that. Alex Marinier gets himself back on the board. Goals in 14 of his 16 games this season. It's a 7-1 rout for the Buckeyes. Carrier comes up with a face-off win. Maryland needs to convert and convert soon.
And Maryland's a team that is not going to win one-on-one matchups. Spanos can do it. Urksa will destroy you if you're not ready on a restart. But they do it by snappy ball movement.
This one finds a home. The Terps will take him any way they can get him as Stovall celebrates.
Well, so much for my analysis of Maryland not being able to win a matchup. Stovall just gets downhill, and this is a very tall midfielder. And once he realizes 23 and white, Dante Bowen is on his back, that's when he lets it fly. So right there, he knows he's got his defender beat.
In the last 5 games before the goal against Penn State. Nighttime skies here over Ann Arbor. Temperatures in the low 50s. Semi-final games were moved up earlier in the day back on Thursday. Nick Myers alluding to the fact that Matthews will have some dental work to follow tonight's festivities. Liam White off the split. Quick change of direction. Wide open. Matthews on the bouncer. Stop. McNaney wants the outlet. He puts it right out there quickly. Stamos is on the run. Fast break Terps. Stamos feeds. Nice catch, Kelly. Looking cross field. Spanos, they still have it. Jump shot, score! Urksa turns the corner.
Huge goal for Maryland. And this really exemplifies the Terrapin offense. Smart and unselfish. That is a wide open look. Credit Jackson Canfield for getting his stick in a passing lane. Logan McNaney then just throws it to an area. Stamos hunts it down. Kelly handcuffed, but is able to corral that pass. And look at Spanos. He could have shot that ball, but he saw number 10 in red.
Big face-off duties here. Oldman comes up with it on the ground ball for Ohio State. That's the same Jack Oldman who leads the Big Ten Conference in ground balls in 2025.
That was just unfortunate for Ohio State, giving up that goal That could have been a 2-goal swing, because if Matthews was able to step into that thing and it didn't get deflected, it may have scored. So credit Oldman for winning that faceoff and kind of quelling the momentum momentarily for Maryland.
Griffin Turner from the top, inside look, score! Finding the wide open McKenna. Mark, the half-field execution for Ohio State's been breathtaking so far.
Oldman winning the faceoff leads to Turner, and Schaller just kind of caught in no man's land. Some ball watching for Maryland and big Jack McKenna, the Jolly Green Giant.
McKenna in his second season with the Buckeyes, a transfer from Fairfield to Nick Myers' program. He now has 112 goals, that's second most among active Big Ten players. Bryce Ford of Maryland's number 1. This drive, Karams off of McNaney and off of the post. It'll be backed up to Ohio State.
They keep coming, and you have to love it. Ohio State not taking their foot off the gas, continuing to attack downhill, continuing to play at a very high octane level.
Dixie, in the first meeting, it was Maryland that went on an 8-1 run. Terps had a 9-3 lead at the half. Matthews fires. That's stabbed by McNaney.
Great save.
Look, wouldn't it be nice to introduce yourself? Hi, I'm Johnny Cool.
Well, I introduced himself as Mark Cool, but nobody buys it.
Shot clock's at 10. Bring it on around. Spanos angling towards a cage. Put that one in. Spanos celebrating and substituting at the same time. It's a good goal for the Terps.
Little awkward, but the officials get together, confer, and now you have Ohio State looking at their device, deciding whether or not they are going to challenge. We mentioned Spanos having to step up. He shoots it. Nothing touches the goal mouth. It looks like he was not in the crease before the ball entered the goal, meaning it crossed the goal line. That's a good goal. Great body control from Eric Spanos. Not an easy thing when you're 6'5". But it's better to be late and right than early and wrong. So good discipline, good patience by the crew.
Shake Heathler, who's been sharing the face-off duties for Maryland with Jonah Carrier. They still dig for it, and coming up off the wing, as usual, Jack McDonald. John Tillman will tell you he wouldn't trade his wing guys for anyone. Just showed you the face-off story is even. Ohio State, by virtue of the 6-1 opening quarter, has the 8-4 lead. Whittier feeds it. Egan moves it. Spanos off the hitch. Swim move on Langermeyer. Gets to the goal. Scores! Spanos and the Terps making their comeback.
Terp bench loves it. We said that Spanos was going to have to put on the Superman cape. Well, I think he went into the phone booth in between quarters and slipped it on. The bench loves it. Spanos has great body control for a man his size. Uses a little bit of a rocker step, high wing, gets underneath a defender, recognizes short stick matchup.
Roaring their lungs out now here at the University of Michigan Lacrosse Stadium in Ann Arbor. Temperatures hovering in the high 40s, low 50s.
You knew Maryland wasn't going to go away.
Turner will exchange for Marinier. Bring it on around, send it back behind the goal, and then come this way once more for Turner. Picked up by Stamos. Turner lets it fly, he scores! Griffin Turner.
Maryland incorporating a zone on this possession, and the communication just wasn't there. Stamos gets picked off, and no one recovers and helps to slide on number 1 in white, Griffin Turner. And he is in prime shooting real estate.
Already with a 3-point night for himself on a goal and 2 assists. Spectacular colors in the sky over the grandstand here in Ann Arbor. 9-5 for Ohio State and it doesn't look like Logan McNaney is seeing it nearly as well as he normally does.
No, he struggled so far here tonight. Made a couple saves in this quarter. And then, let's face it, the first couple goals for Ohio State kind of came at him fast and furious.
Marinier, and then White from the top. Liam White, split dodge, roll dodge. Here comes McDonald to help. Shot clock's at 24. Turn the corner. Haas snuffed out. McNaney got the legs together in time there.
Yeah, good save by Logan McNaney. They play, and they get experience. They get game experience. They get leadership experience as a guy on the field, and it's turned out well. Nobody really minds the transfer portal much more efficiently than Maryland.
Whittier looking cross field. Here it is, that drive from Keegan, answered by Fayak. Ball down, they scramble. Man ball out of the pack, still loose. And it belongs to Ohio State.
Referees caught it. Possession stays with Ohio State.
Mayer waiting. Spins off of Kohler and fires. That one pings into the deep slot area. Control for McGee. Timeout Ohio State. Buckeyes team that's won all 6 of its games away from Columbus this season. Only Ohio State, Army, and Cornell can say that as McNaney snares and starts back for Maryland in counterpunch fashion with Zach Gorno. In the second quarter, beat Caleb Fayak 4 times. It's a 4-goal deficit for the guys in red. Top 2 seeds squaring off in this championship game. Island going right to the cage. Fast break time here. Toss! Stopped by McNaney. A dazzling save.
Ohio State trying to win their first ever Big Ten tournament championship.
Maryland has done it 4 times. 10.5 to go in the third. Liam White has the ball in his cross. He scores! Down the alley to pay dirt.
The freshman has been terrific in this tournament. So impressive in the semifinal win over Rutgers. And look at that shot. Down the alley, left-handed, high to high.
To the face-off dot with Jack Oldman of the Buckeyes in white. Drawing opposite of Jonah Carrier, 28 in the red for Maryland. Off the wing, it comes up for Stamos. George Stamos. Ohio State slowing the tempo here. Shot clock down to 20. McNaney leaving the cage to put some pressure on Haas. Mayer looks inside. That'll bounce wide of the goal. Shot clock's at 10. McKenna powering in. He scores! Jack McKenna has his second of the day.
He lives around the goal. McKenna using the matchup behind the cage. And he just beats Jack McDonald. I mean, McDonald a couple times has been beaten on that front swing. You don't see that too often. The footwork just not there. Kind of stopped his feet from moving. Number 51 in red, and McKenna kept his going.
Tallies in 5 of the last 7. Going great guns for Ohio State. Maryland gets possession off the draw, and George Stamos will walk it across. They've made the NCAA tournament 21 straight times. A mark of 11-2. They'll be involved in the NCAA parade when the selections are made by tomorrow. Erksa on the go. He scores! A speed dodge for Braden Erksa.
Erksa is like a luxury sports car. He goes from 0 to 60 in no time flat. And that's Kyle Foster. He's no slouch defensively. Erksa just runs right at him, makes a subtle move. The pick throws Foster off, and I think Foster, 41 in white, thought he was going to get a little bit of help. He doesn't, because Erksa is so fast.
Who prior to tonight, the junior had never had a multi-goal game against Ohio State. That story changes with Erx's second this evening, nearing the midway mark of the third quarter. Look at McNaney, 40 yards from the goal to get the ground ball in possession for Maryland.
Logan McNaney's sneaky athletic. He will venture from that crease, and such a smart player. And Maryland right now just kind of losing their composure as a defender. Not as comfortable behind, and Ohio State recognizing that.
Haas maneuvering in. Underneath, this one's wrapped off the post. Wicked release there from Ed Sheehan, subbing in at attack. On the go, Gravino fires, stopped by Faya.
That could have been a juice goal for the Terps had they hit it. But Caleb Fyock up to the task.
Maryland's man down. Look at that, 80%. They've only surrendered 4 man down goals all season.
They're terrific.
Turner changes that with an outside blazer.
I was just about to say, Maryland was able to kill a 3-minute man down situation on Thursday against Penn State. Griffin Turner, though, says we're not going to have that. Again, it's miscommunication. McDonald looks like he was passing Turner off to someone. No one steps to number 1. He takes a couple hops right down State Street and solves McNaney offside low. Great shot placement. Nick Myers loves what he is seeing.
Griffin Turner had goals in 4 of the first 6 games for the Buckeyes this year. He had no goals in the last 9 prior to tonight. He's clicked for a pair. It's 12-6 Ohio State.
I just love the Ohio State depth of scoring.
You get the pot of gold.
And we saw that in his tally that he had earlier in the game. That thing was in his less than a second.
Whittier for Maryland. Nice catch in traffic there for Erxa, who's a multi-goal scorer tonight. 4 minutes to go in the third. Whittier scores! Zach Whittier.
Great ball movement by Maryland, keeping it snappy, and some really short passes in a tight window. And then Whittier is going to be able to come around. Look at that little give, the setup. And I like how Erxa, number 10 in red, drifted up the field. And he took Kyle Foster, number 41 in white, out of a sliding position.
He has markers in 4 of the last 5. The deficit for the Terps is 5. Keithler comes up with a draw. Shea Keithler and Jonah Carrier. Canfield, who got away unscathed after that 3-minute penalty in the fourth quarter against Penn State. Spanos had that shot partially blocked. Van Buren there.
There's definitely a lot of chatter. You know, was it worthy of 3 minutes?
Stovall on the go. He scores! Elijah Stovall.
Number 44 in red, the sophomore. He's really coming into his own in this tournament. I mentioned the shaky game against Hopkins where he, in essence, was kind of benched. Didn't see the field after he had a couple of turnovers. But we saw him with an alley dodge earlier with the left hand, and this is just a race to the cage, whistle ready.
Elijah Stovall, the Florida native, third different 2-goal game on the season. Earlier ones against Delaware and Virginia. And the Terps come away with the draw. Carrier bounding away from the dot and angling in.
The Maryland Terrapins back in the 2010-2011 time period. He was an outstanding offensive player who just was really good at facing off. Wow, I hope he doesn't hit my rental.
Spanos deflected away by Kyle Foster. That one's halfway to Detroit.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, Carrier can play offense. He can score.
Erxa with a flash cut to the goal. Stop there. Ground ball first time pickup by Van Buren. 3 times an all-conference defender, Bobby Van Buren. Ohio State on top by 4. Buckeyes, 2 times in their program history, have been Big Ten tournament runners-up. They've never won it all. Marinier from deep.
Marinier 5 in white and Daniel Kelly 45 in red. When they get their feet set, identify the goal, it's typically lights out. Look at the wrist snap from Alex Marinier. Catches that ball. That is a thing of beauty. That is a snappy release. The worm burner set the measuring stick for Big Ten men's lacrosse. And look, when you look at the post-collegiate these days with respect to the PLL, Team USA, it's mostly Maryland guys. So it's a testament to him and his coaching staff, the job they do.
Carrier getting a second chance. He gunned that one wide after Fayak beat him. Spanos, long strider. Island there on the switch. Short stick defensive midfielder. Maryland keeping the ball hot. Ford rolling back. Jumper. He scores! Rice Ford.
Incredible rollback. The transfer from Fairfield, listed at 5'8". Feels like he plays a little bit bigger. Cruises down the alley, puts his foot in the turf, rolls back, sees the slide coming, recognizes that he has Fayak. Maryland continuing to fight. I love this rollback and the recognition right there.
Had 3 goals and an assist in that one. Gets himself on the board, brings Maryland within 4 with 13:50 to go in regulation. Off this scramble, Oldman comes out of the pack. Good kick there. Fast break, score! The hat trick for Haas.
We've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. Ohio State showing resilience and answering anytime Maryland challenges. Look at Oldman. I love the discipline. Wait, draw the slide. Haas hammers it home. Jack Oldman, sophomore out of Pickering, Ontario. Reminds me of another Ohio State face-off great, Jake Withers.
Markers in 9 straight. Another guy who shoots better than 40% all campaign long. Carrier beats Oldman on the ensuing face-off. The Buckeyes, 13 victories and counting this season.
And that was a game you thought was set up for success for Ohio State. 11-game win streak at home, nice crowd, but Maryland had other ideas.
Last 4 Big Ten Conference games, they've turned that around in a significant way. In 2025, they're 11 minutes potentially from their first ever Big Ten tournament title.
Boy, isn't it uncanny?
Stoba rejected by Fayak. One of the big reasons that Ohio State has been so tough to beat is the man they call Big Tasty between the pipes.
Great save. And again, uncanny how Michigan, the last 2 years, winning the Big Ten tournament championship as the 4 seed. Here comes Spanos.
Unsettled. Driving in. Kohler, kick it inside. Spanos closes. Kick save, Fayak. In lacrosse, on a missed shot closest to the ball where and when it leaves the field gets possession, the officials awarding that one to Maryland.
Yeah, great job by the trail official, giving it to the Terps. You can see the hustle. Every possession, so critical now with just under 10 minutes to go in this contest.
Matthew Keegan trying to get underneath on Island, who wouldn't allow it. Ford slashing past Johnny Cool. He scores! Rice Ford.
Ford is having an impact on this game, keeping Maryland within striking distance. The midfielder just goes down the alley, and once you go over the head, as you see number 20 in white, Johnny Cool, do, you're cooked. Maryland bench sees it. Ford with the dodge, the whiff by Cool, and he bounces it past Big Tasty.
None of us is expecting 24 goals on the board between these two teams and these two great defenses.
I was thinking more of an 8-7, 9-8 kind of game.
Marinier not able to sidestep Stamos just yet. Attempts to swim by him. Terps continuing to hedge and threaten a double team in Marinier's direction. Work it to Marinier from long range. That's easy pickings for McNaney.
Big stop for the Maryland netminder. Now the Terps. Can they stack goals? Can they go on a run? Stepping onto the pitch, so you have 2 second midfielders and a first midfielder combining.
Aiden Aitken, another Florida native in the Maryland lineup. Cross field, spots the open man, driving in. Fayak made the save on Spanos, point blank.
Man, that's a lot of beef between Spanos and the back of the net.
Nick Myers says of Fayak, he's a free spirit, so much positive energy. The guys love to play for him. Aiken lets it fly. Fayak is ready once again. White picked up on the outside by Colin Burlace. One of my spies told me that Dad Brian had his birthday a couple days ago. Terps stiffen there defensively at just the right moment. Former Polar Bear, I had a chance to catch up with him yesterday out of Bowdoin.
Now we're talking.
And he's, first question, so what class were you? And I'm like, oh, damn. Do I really have to tell you? Ford on his way to the goal. Bouncer ricochets off of Fayak in the post. Back up top. Trailing by 4. Spanos with a multi-goal game performance tonight. Rolls, jumps, severe angle, sent it wide.
And you got to give a ton of credit. I know I've been singing his praises all night, but number 42 in white, Cullen Brown, has erased Daniel Kelly, the terrific shooter. Number 45 in red, nothing tonight after 5 against Penn State.
Feed inside, quick stick from the long stick there. McDonald didn't go. Where the game was broken open.
I just think that play by Matthews, after Brown with the strip, Matthews scores the goal, gets popped, splits his lip, loses teeth, nose is a little askew. That just really set the tone and fired these guys up.
And we could tell that from the intensity with which Coach Myers handled a sideline interview with Mitchell Pelkey tonight. Down the stretch we go, 4:25 remaining. Maryland has possession. They need 4. McNaney and the Terps have 20 seconds to advance across that midline. Schaller, long ways for Whittier. Successful clear for the Terrapins.
Nice handle by Whittier. Almost got the better of him. Terps got to get to work. Down 4, 4 minutes left.
Stovall snakes away, fires from range. That's easy for Fayak.
That was a nasty shot. I mean, you're talking about a kid 6'5", hides the stick.
Daniel Kelly, a career best performance in the semis. Just 1 goal tonight. Whittier attacked there on the outside by Foster. Ford from the angle, bouncer, no. Rebound belongs to the Buckeyes, less than 2 minutes to play.
Take back to Columbus.
Fayak's career best is 19 saves. Going to the goal, no finish there for Matthews. It ricochets out, and Maryland controls.
Yeah, I don't really like that decision.
So often you're told not to take it.
Yeah, because of things like that. So now Ohio State just has to buck up.
Kohler to the cage, short stick defensive midfielder, lost it out of his cross, slams into Fayak, man ball drill, Ohio State comes up with it.
Yeah, more like man wall, running into Big Tasty.
60 seconds to go.
That is the one where everybody really took notice.
Nick Myers preaching to his guys, stay the course, stick to the plan, don't be frustrated. They lost right away, like you mentioned, right out of the gate in the season home opener to Utah, gave up 19 goals, and it just inspired them to go on an amazing run. McKenna forced out of bounds. The ball belongs to Maryland. Less than a minute to play.
Yeah, really that win over Michigan here a couple of weeks ago seems to have really galvanized this Ohio State ball club.
Ford on the flip. Spanos close it. Spanos shakes loose and fires. Fyock watches it go wide, hustling to the sideline, 15.7 to go. Keegan, one last-ditch effort for 4. Feet inside, gets away from Holmes. That'll do it. For the first time in program history, the Big Ten tournament title belongs to Ohio State.